StarCast returns to the Chicago area this Labor Day weekend. Tickets for StarCast 6 are now on sale at StarCast.com. Join us at the Hyatt Regency Schaumburg starting Friday night, September 1st, for unique fan experiences with wrestling legends from yesterday and superstars from today. Follow StarCast events on Twitter for the latest updates about all things StarCast. Can't be in Chicago? Premiere Streaming Network has you covered. Visit StarCastOnPremiere.com and get daily access or save with the weekend bundle. Get all past StarCast, the upcoming Wrestling Showcase event, as well as thousands of hours of content from your favorite promotions and stars, and 2 months of Premiere Plus for free. Order now at StarCastOnPremiere.com. StarCast 6 is brought to you in part by ProWrestlingCrate.com. Monthly mystery crates for die-hard wrestling fans. Plans start at $9.95 and are the perfect gift for any wrestling fan. Visit ProWrestlingCrate.com today.
Cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man. I don't want a piece of the world. I want the whole world. I make my own rules because it's much easier that way. Trust me.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of The Snake Pit, but we're doing something a little different this week. Jake is back out on the road again, busy as ever. StarCast is coming up, so he's going to continue to be on the road. And with that being the case, guys, he is unable to record this week. This week, we're dipping into the archives at adfreeshows.com to look back at 2 exclusive bonus episodes that were only available there. So if you're not a member at adfreeshows.com, you're going to get a little peek behind the curtain at some of the bonus content that we're putting up there. And we're also just going to show you what you've been missing out on. First, it's a look back to 1996 and Jake's 6-man tag team match at WrestleMania 12, partnering up with Ahmed Johnson and Yokozuna to take on the British Bulldog, Owen Hart, and the man they call Vader. Next, it's a look back to 1990 and the Wrestling Summit in Japan, the only time that the WWF partnered with All Japan Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling to produce a show, and the only time that Jake the Snake squared off against the Big Boss Man. We'll be back with some fresh content next week, but for now, enjoy these exclusive bonus episodes courtesy of the Snake Pit and adfreeshows.com. We're talking about the time when you were back during the New Generation era in 1996. Specifically, we're talking about WrestleMania 12 and a 6-man tag team match.
Yeah, 6-man tag team match. I hate tag matches, and 6-mans are even the worst.
I'm interested to hear your perspective on this. We've got some news and notes from the time, and man, I'm excited. But yeah, this is, this era is just such a cool time because it's like I mentioned on our episode before, Royal Rumble 1996, which is available in the archives at adfreeshows.com. I mentioned that it's cool because we're kind of getting to mesh things as fans. Jake in the 80s and early 90s represents a completely different time than here in the New Generation era. There's a lot of things that have changed, so it's kind of neat. It's getting to see 2 different generations kind of cross over. So I know it was a time period that fans were really excited about.
Well, they may be excited, but I sure as hell wasn't.
I was gonna say, I know that it wasn't necessarily your favorite period of time, especially due to this religious character you had, right?
Yeah, it was a rough time for me. The biggest problem was I was out of shape. That was all on me. I was, 40, 50 pounds overweight.
You had said on that episode about Royal Rumble 1996 that if you had it to do over, you would have said, when Vince called, you would have said, like, hey, give me 6 months. Let me get myself in shape.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of what could have been had they done that, and had they just brought you in as a heel. I think it could have been a lot of fun.
It would have been a lot better.
Well, it's still something that fans remember fondly, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing and talk about it. So it was originally announced for the show that it was going to be Vader versus Yokozuna in a singles match, but it was changed to the six-man tag match a couple of weeks before the show. The stipulation is Yokozuna will get 5 minutes alone in the ring with Cornette if Yoko's team is victorious. Meltzer reports at the time that Yoko was considered too far overweight to carry a singles match. Were there any talks of a possible match for you prior to the decision to team you up with Yoko and Ahmed?
I have no idea, man. I didn't really want to do it. I wasn't really up for it. And it just seemed like I got shoved into it.
So they had never come to you prior and said, like, hey, Jake, WrestleMania 12 is coming up. We're thinking about doing X, Y, or Z.
Nope.
Well, how about this? If you had it your way, who at the time do you think you would have liked to have worked with at WrestleMania?
Nobody.
You didn't want to work with you just felt like you weren't in the right shape or state of mind.
Right. I don't like going out and getting in front of the fans and not being in shape. I can't do what I want to do. I can't do what I need to do. And I can't do what I should do. So if I can't do anything, what the hell am I doing out there?
So at the end of the day, it's, I know that you said you're not a fan of tag matches and certainly not a six-man tag. However, being that you weren't maybe necessarily in the best of shape, six-man tag can kind of hide some of that, right?
Yeah, it does. It hides a lot of it, but still not enough.
Well, I have to say personally, Hunter Hearst Helmsley winds up wrestling the Ultimate Warrior on this, and it's just a dumb match. It lasts 2 minutes. It's a squash. But I think that you versus Helmsley, even if they made it a 2-minute match at WrestleMania, it certainly would have beat him versus Warrior at this event, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a tall order to beat out the Warrior in a performance. Scott Hall at this time was suspended for WrestleMania due to a failed drug test, which he said came basically immediately after he had announced that he was headed to WCW, which it just sounds like classic Vince to me, right? It's the guy's getting ready to leave, and so he's like, "Hey, by the way, you failed a drug test."
Want to blacken the spot.
Yep. Well, I mean, to me, that could have been a really fun babyface versus babyface match for you at WrestleMania too, if they had paired you with Razor. You worked with Scott a couple times during your WWF run, right?
Yeah.
And
mostly in Germany.
What can you tell us about working with Scott there?
Oh, we had a great time out there, man. It was good.
Who's going over in these matches between you and Razor?
Well, he was supposed to go over, but he wouldn't do it.
Really?
He refused to go over me.
Why is that?
Out of respect.
That's awesome. Especially in an era where, it's kind of the Clique was running roughshod over the WWF. He just had too much respect for you to beat you in front of that audience.
That's right. It blew me away.
That's awesome. And not to mention, Scott is he's a pretty cerebral. It was a pretty cerebral guy. He probably also knew that these crowds weren't necessarily going to react positively to Razor Ramon beating Jake the Snake, right?
I don't know, man. I would have thought the other way, but never mind. Didn't matter to me.
So you didn't care whether or not you won the match.
Didn't matter to me. I don't have to win a match to get over.
Well, Jake, the lead up to WrestleMania, they show a promo with yourself, Ahmed, and Yoko, with Yoko hitting a bonsai drop on a balloon with Cornette's face on it to show what could happen at Mania. So, Jake, I had to look this up to confirm it, but apparently balloon popping, like sitting on balloons and popping them, is a sexual fetish. So, so that's man, I'm probably on an FBI watch list after looking that shit up.
Yeah, how was it for you?
So we got to clear my fucking search history. But that does beg the question to me, Jake. Who wrote this angle? Let's out this person who's got the sexual fetish.
Yeah. Probably Pat Patterson.
That actually sounds correct. Now I know that you would be helping out on creative. Had that started yet by this time?
Oh yeah.
And what were your early experiences like working in creative or in the office?
It didn't go so well.
Right from the start?
Right from the start, because Vince was listening to me and not anybody else. And that got a lot of heat for me.
I can definitely see that getting heat.
Yeah.
Recently here on adfreeshows.com, we had John Filippelli come in and do an episode of The Insiders. And he talked about how when he came into the company, the very young Bruce Pritchard had a little bit of resentment toward him, just due to the fact that it's this guy with a lot of experience coming in. Speaking of John, do you have any stories or experience around John?
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Okay, worth a shot. Yourself and Yoko also teamed up on a couple of house shows, defeating
Yeah.
Owen and Davey at Madison Square Garden on March 17th. George Steele is also in Jake and Yoko's corner for this match and is handcuffed to Cornette at ringside. So Jake, it's you'd had cage matches. You told a great story about ribbing George by blowing him up in a cage match at one point, which is just phenomenal. You can find that in the archives. Working with George here in 1996, what was it like?
Oh, it was all right. George was just there picking up a check, man. I have all the respect in the world for George, and I miss him.
He was a great man. I've heard nothing but good things. I was fortunate enough to meet him years ago, and he couldn't have been kinder.
Yeah.
I did want to ask as well, while we're on the subject, Cornette is he's getting a lot of heat here as a manager, and God knows that he could talk his ass off. Was great on the mic. What do you think about working with Cornette in general?
Oh, Cornette would get heat with anybody.
All he's got to do is open his mouth, right?
Yeah, basically.
But what I know that you'd worked with him in Smoky Mountain. What did you think of him?
The manager, he's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
His job, he gets around, and people hate his ass. It's almost like they knew him.
I was gonna ask, like outside of being a performer, not necessarily a huge fan of his.
Jim and I got along fine, man.
Yep.
Say about it. He does what he does. I do what I do.
That's diplomatically put, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned in our Royal Rumble 96 episode that your shape, and you mentioned here just now that you weren't in the shape that you needed to be, and here you are. You're teaming up with Yokozuna, who by all accounts is very out of shape himself. He's become morbidly obese at this time.
Yeah.
What was it like teaming with him?
It was horrible, man, because I had to do all the damn work.
I was going to ask if that was the case. Like, so
Baby Boy and Owen, they just got in the ring and blew me up right off the bat.
So you were when you're tagging with Yoko, it's you starting out the match, and these guys would just go out of their way to blow you up right out of the gate.
Make me look like shit.
So now, I mean, this happens one time, and are you backstage in their ear like, "Hey, don't fucking do that to me anymore"?
Yep, but it didn't matter. They do it again.
I have heard that if a dude's trying to blow you up, you can kind of get out of it by putting him in like a chin lock and leaning on him. Did you ever try that method with these guys?
Oh, yeah. Lots of things.
What are some of your other methods for stopping a dude who's trying to blow you up?
Front face locking them.
Yeah.
Laying on them. Stretching their neck.
Well, that'll do it. You got to take their wind away. And I assume that you're trying this then?
Oh, yeah. I was doing it. I didn't try it.
Well, now, so these matches, are they structured like you're starting the match and Yoko just gets the hot tag for the final few minutes and that's that?
That's it.
Man, how fast are you trying to go home on these?
Not soon enough. Not soon enough, man. It was brutal.
That sounds awful. And, I know that Owen liked to play kind of silly, fun ribs on people. But that sounds a little bit too far to me.
Well, anytime you get in the ring and you're doing things that are going to make the match look bad, then you're not doing the right thing.
Right.
And they were doing that. They were making me look like shit. Like a fat man. Couldn't fucking do anything. Because I was so blown up that I was about to puke.
Man, frustrating, I'm sure. And it sucks that, you even go backstage and level with them and they're not, paying attention to it.
They didn't pay attention at all, man. They just did more of it.
Kind of points to the era and how the inmates were running the asylum, huh?
Yep.
All right, guys, let's take a quick pause to talk about DraftKings Sportsbook and how they're hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. College football fans, are you ready for week one? This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. Your team could go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple years. Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code SNAKEPIT. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SNAKEPIT. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available. For problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.com/football for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Sure does.
Well, speaking of the era, Nitro and Raw are head-to-head still at this point, trading victories in the ratings. However, as I mentioned, Nash and Hall have given their notice to go to WCW just before Mania. It's two huge stars, two of the biggest stars in the company, and here they are. They're set to depart.
Yeah.
So after having been in WCW yourself just a few years earlier, did you anticipate Hall and Nash having the kind of success that they did at Turner, or did you expect WCW to just fuck the whole thing up?
No, I figured they'd get great success.
Really?
As they did. WCW needed to change their headliners. They'd pushed Luger and Sting about as all they could do. You know, Luger, Sting, Flair, Luger, Sting, Flair, Flair, Luger, Sting. You know, enough's enough.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, it's as you and I mentioned on that episode, they started doing, rather WWF started doing these what do they call it, the Huckster and the Nacho Man vignettes to trash Hogan and Savage after having departed. So it's, you know, you've got kind of like this older group of guys down there in WCW, and now Hall and Nash, they're kind of injecting a little bit of youth and enthusiasm. So yeah, it's really not a wonder. It would be hard to screw up bringing in two stars that big, right?
Yeah, it would. It really would.
Man, it's crazy. What a crazy time in wrestling. And Jake, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the match. I will continue to ask you some questions as we go here, and then you can squeeze my wrist. We can go home on this thing. You ready?
I'm ready to squeeze your wrist already.
All right, let's go.
Well, this guy didn't wait at all. Take a look at him. What a monster.
All right. Got the volume down a little bit here. Crank it down a little bit more even. So we see Vader, of course, coming to the ring. Jake, I know that down the road here, you would say that you no longer wanted to work with Vader after he would break some of your ribs during him, or your sternum rather, right?
Twice.
What did you think of Vader overall at this time? You know, here he is. He's a pretty big star coming into the territory. And I know that Vince was trying to position him as WWF champion. Did you see that in him?
No.
You didn't think he had that potential?
No.
Why is that?
Because he smelled too bad.
That was something that I had heard about him, was that maybe he wasn't giving his ring gear the TLC it needed, right?
Ring gear my ass. It was him.
It was just him.
Yeah.
That's a big dude. It's hard to wash all that.
Big, smelly man.
Later on, we would see that Shawn and he would have some serious issues at SummerSlam. What do you remember about? You were there at that era and working in the office. What do you remember about the issues between the two of them?
I didn't have to put up with that.
Well, thank goodness. Oh, here we see the balloon popping thing with Cornette.
He missed it.
He missed the balloon, so that kind of screws up that whole thing. Whoever was trying to get off on it, I'm sure it didn't work.
How the hell does that ass miss anything?
I'll tell you what. I don't know if the TV is doing it, but that ass looks like it's 6 feet wide.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. We're gonna crank up the volume a little bit and listen to your entrance.
Ahmed Johnson. Oh, what's in the bag? He's not gonna bring that snake out here with him, is he? Come on, McMahon. And Ahmed Johnson means business. Look at the snake eyes behind Ahmed. This is not fair. See, me and Cornette are both afraid of snakes. But look at this. Wait a minute. Look at this. Toe to toe. Look at these big monsters. The bell rings. Here we go. Yokozuna going at it with Vader. All 6 men in the ring at the same time. Referee trying to get control of this matchup. And Vader and Yokozuna having a... Meanwhile, Ahmed Johnson in control. Wait a minute. Uh-oh, Vader better look around. Vader with a wild clothesline. And look out. Wow.
Brawl right out of the gate. You're going after Owen, and Yokozuna and Vader, of course, are squaring off here. Man, on paper and certainly on a poster, Yokozuna and Vader look like they would be fantastic together, right?
Yeah.
It's just the perfect marriage in pro wrestling. Just two big behemoths going at it. So I know that Owen was giving you a bit of a hard time there as far as trying to blow you up at this time. Overall, though, Owen's skill in the ring, what did you think of him as a performer?
Oh, he was great. How could he not be? He's a heart.
Yeah, so Bret Hart and Owen tend to get all the love, but they've got other brothers that wrestled as well, Bruce and Keith.
Keith, Bruce, one that refereed.
I mean, quite a legacy. Who would you say among all of the Hart brothers? Because I know you've worked with all of them. Who would you say was the most skilled in the ring?
Probably Owen.
He sort of helped to usher in that high flying era. Guys sort of doing some of the really acrobatic, incredible stuff. Which I mean, he's not a small guy, so for him to be doing that stuff is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was, man.
Well, we've got you here teaming up with Ahmed Johnson. He's undeniably got this $1 million look to him. I've heard he could be difficult to get along with. What were your thoughts on Ahmed?
He was a pain in the ass, man.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He didn't want to learn nothing. I know I one time met with him and told him, look, I'll help you out, man. Be at the building at 5:30 in Indianapolis. And he said, yeah, I'll be there, man. Because Vince said, hey, take him in there and show him something. So I got there at 5 o'clock, and he no-showed me.
Oh.
And then when he did walk in, he copped an attitude with me, telling me he didn't need no fucking help.
What in the world?
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame because, as I mentioned, he's got this great look. And, at this time, the steroid stuff had come and gone. But, I know that Vince was still being really cautious as far as, steroid testing and making sure that his talents weren't on the juice so he wouldn't get nailed. And, as, people...
You believe that?
Well, it's a little column A, little column B, because you look at the Ultimate Warrior here when he returns at WrestleMania 12, he is way smaller than he was previously, right?
Yeah.
But so I mean, do you have any perspective on that? Was Vince going nuts when it came to testing guys at this time?
Some people were allowed to, and some people weren't.
Really?
Yeah. You think Hogan ever went off the juice?
Oh no.
Okay then.
I will say when he got to WCW, he was starting to look a lot leaner.
Yeah.
But he was still massive.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I was saying, Ahmed Johnson, he's got this great look. I mean, look at him, about to square off with the British Bulldog and others here. What a shame that he wouldn't take some direction, especially from a guy like yourself.
Yeah. He could have had it all, man. He could have had it all. He didn't like to work. Period.
He didn't have any passion for the business?
No.
Just there to collect a paycheck.
Yeah, he didn't want to work for that.
Man, just again, it's a what could have been situation when it comes to Ahmed.
Yeah.
Now, if you said that you were going to give him a little bit of training and help him out a little bit, what would that have looked like? Is it just like kind of showing him some of the? I mean, it's silly because here he is on the biggest stage in wrestling. Would you have been showing him just essentially basics or psychology, or what did you have in mind?
In basics,
Like how to snap into a lockup properly?
and how to sell, when to sell, how to sell. Don't go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. That's the mistake that most of them make. They'll be out there and be getting the shit beat out of them, and then 1 second later, they're fucking making a comeback.
And that was him too.
Yeah.
Pretty infamously, it was Jeff Jarrett smashed him over the head with like this picture frame thing, and he no sold it and chased Jarrett to the back of the arena. And it was just like, man, I think that that was one of those moments where it's like, man, this guy's dying on the vine.
Yep.
I know he's this big dude, and he's obviously got a ton of muscle on him, but you've still got to sell, especially if you're going to be a baby face. How else do you get sympathy?
You can't. You can't.
Very weird. Also of note, as I mentioned, it's the Ultimate Warrior. He's wrestling with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he beats him in less than 2 minutes at this event, which is just wild to think about, especially given where Hunter's career has gone. He's getting squashed at WrestleMania. So you told the story about wanting to clock Warrior at your Hall of Fame induction before, thankfully, burying the hatchet with him.
Yeah.
At this time, are the two of you just staying away from each other, or are you keeping it cordial?
Keeping it cordial.
Certainly the best thing for business.
Yeah, staying away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to mess up a job position over some old history, certainly.
Yeah, fuck, I don't want to get fired whenever, for fucking beating up somebody that's already cost me money.
God, what a piece of work that guy was. I hear many stories, and certainly from this era, he does not last long with the WWF here in 1996. So I don't know. It seems crazy to me that a guy like that, he's got all this money on the table, certainly the fame, certainly the opportunities, but he's just kind of shooting himself in the foot.
Yep. We heard it was all about his comic books.
I had heard about that, so I think he wanted Vince to buy 1 million copies of his comic book at $1 a piece, right?
Right.
Bizarre.
Imagine that.
I don't suspect that Vince went for that. Well, you just got the tag. Let's clock it.
Short arm clothesline. Here we go. DDT. Here we go. Owen Hart hanging onto the ropes. Clever maneuver on the part of Owen Hart, who calls himself the King of Hearts. Owen Hart set up for the ride. Where's Hardy? Here comes Jake. Oh, no. There you go. And Owen Hart lifting a knee just in the nick of time in the butt of the jaw. Oh, no. Oh, this is great. I've been waiting for this. Jake the Snake Roberts in trouble again. Triple team. The official, come on, ref, turn around, see what's going on. And Jake, tell you what's going on. That snake is getting stomped.
I have to say, Jake, if you're getting blown up here, early on in these matches, you're not showing it. Your selling looks good. You've still got really crisp punches and whatnot in the ring. But I mean, would you say here that these guys are trying to mess with you even now on this stage and at WrestleMania?
See how my neck's bent there?
Yeah.
That's to blow you up.
So he's like kind of cutting off your airway a little bit.
Yeah, he's cutting off the air and leaning on me.
I mean, safe to assume that these guys were just kind of jealous that you're coming back and you're in a high-profile position?
They're just fucking with me, period.
Really bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the match too. You'd think that he would want to make sure that everything looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, also notable here, Steve Austin is going to defeat Savio Vega in Austin's first WrestleMania match. In just a few months, you go on to play a huge role in changing Austin's career and really his entire life with the Austin 316 thing.
Yeah.
Did you see something in Steve while you were in WCW, or was it really just in WWF here that he started to stand out?
I seen Steve in WCW, and I knew he had everything. But he just, the long stringy hair didn't help. Trying to play a pretty guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just needs to change some of that, and he can talk. So why in the hell do they put DiBiase in there to talk for him?
Right, and they so at this time he was the
Oh,
ringmaster.
See this hole here?
Yes.
That's to blow you up.
Really?
Oh yeah, you can't breathe at all here.
So he's with his thigh, he's kind of pushing your neck forward to close off your airway a little bit.
Yep. Got the arms stretched out.
So I mean, during the match while they're doing this, are you trying to communicate like, hey, knock it off or any of that?
Oh yeah.
It's just in one ear and out the other.
They wouldn't listen at all. Not at all.
Now I know that you mentioned on that episode before that it was Davey was a little bit more ruthless whenever it came to trying to blow you up. Had you? So I know that you know, he and his old running mate, the Dynamite Kid, were volatile at times behind the scenes. Had you ever had any issues with them in the past?
Not at all.
Man, so he's just kind of going out of his way for just to be an asshole, essentially.
Yeah.
Also on this event, Jake the Undertaker defeated Diesel in what would be Kevin Nash's final WrestleMania match. Kevin credits watching you and your style when you were in WCW in '92 is helping him develop his approach as a big man. So not sure how often we'll get to talk about him on our podcast, but what are your overall thoughts on Kevin as a performer?
Kevin did a great job, I thought, man. He worked hard out there. He got his character over. He knew how to do it. Kevin Nash is, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, man.
Two-time Hall of Famer, as a matter of fact, the NWO and his Diesel. So yeah, he's certainly carved out a nice niche for himself. Had you ever heard that when he saw you in WCW, and I guess you were kind of working a big man style? I think you were working against a smaller opponent, and he was like, okay, it started to click for him.
Well, at the time, he was traveling with me too.
Was he?
Yeah, him and DDP.
I'll tell you what, that had to be some fun car trips.
Oh yeah.
Are you guys getting into shenanigans out on the road, or keeping your shit together for the most part?
Keeping our shit together for the most part.
I'm sure there were some instances where you went off the rails with that crew.
It happens. It happens.
All right, let's tune back in real quick. He just got tagged back.
Disqualifying ref. Oh. Whatever you do, don't let him get the DDT on you, Owen. Look out. Action on the outside, action on the outside.
There it is.
It's over, it's over, it's over. Turn around now. Oh, man, Cornette with a finish. No! Wait a minute. Jeff Cornette coming in with a tennis racket. Get out of there, Cornette!
Oh, man, they're begging for it on Corny.
Jim Cornette on the inside. Get out of there! Cornette's going to be set up. Will he get the DDT? No! Oh, Vader. Vader collapsing Jake the Snake Roberts. Wait a minute, McMahon. Wait a minute. What's he doing now? Oh!
Ooh.
A Vader bomb, a cover. I can't believe it. After all that.
Okay, that's all she wrote. Jake, when you're getting when he's setting up in the corner to splash you like that, I mean, is your life flashing before your eyes?
Basically.
Good Lord, you know that big bastard's about to come down stiff.
Yeah, I did too.
All right, Jake, let me ask one more question, then we'll let you go here. So most notably from WrestleMania 12, of course, is the main event, the Iron Man match, 16 minutes with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Shawn will win his first WWF title. I've heard some people say that they love Iron Man matches, while others, including our own Conrad Thompson, would say that all you have to do is watch the final 5 minutes and you've kind of got the gist of it. What do you think of Iron Man matches?
Same way. They're not done well.
Yeah.
I think a 2 out of 3 fall match would be great.
To me, that gives you more stakes, right?
Yeah, you you can have some stuff to chew on, you know. I mean, the guy goes out and wins the first fall. Oh my God, he's going to win. And somebody, you know, the other guy wins the second fall. Oh no, now it's down to the third fall. Here we go.
Right. So you're kind of on the edge of your seat for the entire contest that way,
Yeah, you get more than one nut.
as opposed to getting, you know, exhausted watching a 60-minute match.
Right.
Now, did you ever wrestle for 60 minutes?
Oh yeah. Against
When?
Harley.
Against Harley?
Yeah. Actually, I wrestled 3 of them.
But no, so were all 3 against Harley, or who else?
All 3 against Harley.
Wow. Okay.
And I done an hour with Bob Orton too.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
Now, when do you think was the final time that you wrestled a 60-minute match?
With Bob Orton, probably in 1995, 94.
94, 95? You're still wrestling an hour.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. It's well, Jake, let me tell you, I think that this bonus episode is incredible. Awesome to get to watch back an era that I know that you maybe don't necessarily remember fondly, but I know that a lot of fans do. So appreciate you joining us here on adfreeshows.com. And I appreciate the members showing so much interest in getting a bonus episode out of us. We'll be back next month with another one. And Jake, my friend, I appreciate your time today.
All right. Take care.
Okay, everybody, let's take a quick minute to discuss one of my favorite partners. We're talking about AG1 and how they have truly transformed my life with their daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I used to start every day taking a bunch of multivitamins, or how about worse, mixing a healthy shake. The vitamins were expensive and annoying, and to get the shake right, you've got to go shopping. You've got to get every single ingredient, and then you've got to clean the blender. You've got to take the blender apart and clean the blades, and it's such a pain in the butt. It takes up so much time. Nearly a year ago, I started drinking AG1 every day because I was fed up with that morning routine, and it is truly a game changer for me. Now I have a single solution that supports my entire body and covers my nutritional bases every single day. I wanted more energy. I wanted to make sure that my immune system was well supported, especially with my young daughter in daycare bringing home germs every day. I also wanted better gut health, and I wanted a simple solution to incorporate into my daily routine that I enjoyed the taste of. AG1 checked every single box. Here's the best part for me, guys. It's easy. My schedule is very full every single day, and AG1 made life easy by providing 75 high-quality ingredients that give me key daily nutrients by simply mixing 1 scoop in a cup of water. That's it. I drink it, and I'm done. It's an easy micro habit that delivers macro results. I know what your next question must be. How much does it cost? That's always my next question. Well, how about less than $3 a day? Break the habit of going to Starbucks or going to the gas station and getting a coffee and a breakfast and a bunch of calories that you don't need. Spend less money and get a science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food source nutrients instead with AG1. Now that is a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to drinkag1.com/snake. That's drinkag1.com/snake, SNAKE. Check it out, guys. I can guarantee you will not regret it.
Hey guys, need to call a quick timeout here. Wanted to tell your listeners what I've been telling my listeners over at OU didn't know for a while now about all the cool things happening over at adsfreeshows.com.
On the latest edition of The False Finish, Zach Gowen talks about reaching the top of the pro wrestling world against incredible physical odds before issues with immaturity got in his way.
It's not a talent issue, it's a maturity issue. We want to see you continue to wrestle, try new characters, become a heel, try new things, find a groove. The door is open, just mature a little bit. But it was almost fatherly, the way he sat me down and explained to me exactly why I was being released. And I'll always remember that, and I'll always thank Jim Ross every time I see him for that.
As Dog and Casio finished up their latest Ask Dog Anything, they kept the party going for Ad-Free Shows members, answering more questions on a bonus overrun.
We were the main event. Me and Brian Christopher were the main event. Doug was in a up there match. Jamie Dundee was in a tag title match, I'm sure. And we just stopped and started playing pool and drinking. Like, that was what we did. We pulled through the median and turned around and just called from a payphone and said, Yeah, our car can't make it.
That's just a small taste of what we got waiting for you. With 4 levels to choose from, see for yourself why ads-free shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adsfreeshows.com.
Guys, today we're going to be having some fun because we're looking back to 1990 and the only time that the WWF, New Japan, and All Japan would produce a joint show. We're talking about the Wrestling Summit in 1990. And man, I cannot wait to watch this one back with you, Jake.
Oh, I'm glad you are.
I'm excited to hear about stuff with you in Japan in general. We've got all kinds of questions. We're going to do a couple of those real quick, and then we're actually going to get set up with the video itself. All right, Jake, let's get into the notes before we watch the video. I've got here 127.90. Vince McMahon appeared at an All Japan Pro Wrestling card at Tokyo's Korakuen Hall. I probably said that very wrong, and shook hands with Giant Baba in the ring. Moments later, McMahon announced the April 13th show at the Tokyo Dome would be a combined show featuring talent from All Japan, the WWF, and New Japan. So, Jake, do you remember the first time you would have heard about this whole concept?
I heard about it, man. I'm like, oh, shit, we got to go to Japan. So, come on, Vince. How far can we go? We're going to be doing stuff that's on the moon next, I guess.
Whew, man, that is a hell of a trip. How long is the flight to Japan?
It's like 12 hours.
Ugh, brutal. Now
we're only there for 2 days.
Oh God, awful.
12-hour trip back.
You're spinning around and going 12 hours back the other way.
Right back to work.
Now, Jake, I know that you had toured Japan earlier in your career. The research here has it that you would have been there several times between 79 and 80. Is that true?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your earlier experiences in Japan?
Well, very early in my career, when I didn't know a whole lot, I kind of felt like I was being put in jail and getting let out once a night to get the shit beat out of me. Because that's about what it was. But then as time went on, it got better. It couldn't have got any worse. It really couldn't have. Because they took their liberties with me, boy. Ooh.
Really? So it's
God, yeah, man. When you're 6'5", they don't like you automatically because you're fucking big.
God, that's brutal. So you're bigger than these guys, but a lot of them were coming at you stiff.
Oh God, yeah.
Now
the thing I had to learn was give it back.
That's what I was going to ask. You were still pretty young at this point in your career. Did you know right away to give it back, or did you?
The first trip, I didn't give it back, and goddamn, they fucking killed me. I mean, it was really tough. Then my second tour was really sucked because I was like king of the cage match.
Really?
A cage match every fucking night. My head looked like sausage from blade jobs,
God almighty, brutal.
It was crazy, man. My head was so sore. Oh my God. So lucky I didn't get infected because I mean my whole forehead up here was just sliced and diced.
I think that brings up an interesting point, Jake. It's I've seen the scars that you've got from blading. The first time you had to get color, I know that a lot of guys let somebody do it for them. Did you?
No, not me.
Oh no, you did it yourself?
I was excited to do it.
Really?
For some strange, sick reason, I wanted to do it. I want to cut myself. Give me a girly magazine. Oh yeah.
I always hear people say that it's like your baptism in wrestling the first time you get color. Did you feel that way?
No, it was exciting though. I kind of got over it pretty quick.
This first tour, do you remember who you would have been working with in all these cage matches?
Yeah, Kazatsu.
Or
Kimura. Or Hamaguchi. Or the Mighty Inoue.
Wow. So, I mean, you were running through a lot of guys, and it was all cage matches with those guys? How long would you have been in Japan during these earlier tours?
Oh, man, the first tour I went was for 8 weeks.
That is a very long time to be in Japan.
Oh, God. I remember I flew back, I kissed the ground when I got back. And it was really bad, man. On the way back, I was traveling with, oh my God, what's this guy's name? Leo Burke
Okay.
from the Calgary area and from Eastern Canada. And as we approached the airport, I'm like, man, this isn't right. This doesn't look right. Because I'd flown into Seattle before.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't look like Seattle. And all of a sudden, he takes the plane back up because we fly right over the tower, man. The tower is like 100 feet below us.
Oh, man.
Holy shit, we almost hit the fucking tower. And the pilot comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, we just flew over the tower. If you happen to be looking out the left side, yes, we knew what we were doing. We just had to fly over the tower to confirm some problems with our landing gear.
Oh, God.
You know, well, what the fuck are you talking about? And the deal was that on takeoff, I remember the takeoff when it happened, I thought we were running over speed bumps,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't. The tires were blowing out.
Oh, no.
We had 4 tires on one side blow out.
Holy shit.
So now they took us way back out over the ocean, about 300 feet off the ground, and we dumped our fuel. And we were flying into Vancouver because there was a longer runway there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem was not landing it. The problem was stopping it.
Right.
Because they couldn't apply any brakes. If they applied the brakes, the plane would swing sideways, and then we would roll it. So, man, I don't know how they kept that son of a bitch in the air because it didn't seem like we were moving. You know? And it was a horrible fucking feeling, man, when you look out the window and you see like 50 fire trucks and you see like hundreds of cameras set up and another 100 ambulances ready to go.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, motherfucker. So that's when I attacked the liquor cart. And the flight attendant said, sir, you need to set my down. I said, you need to suck my dick, bitch. We're about to fucking die. Yeah, she didn't much care for me. So I just scooped as much liquor as I could in both hands. And I took them back over to where Leo Burke was. And we sat there and pumped them damn things and just guzzled them, man. Guzzled them.
Hell yeah.
Guzzled them. I must have guzzled 10 little bottles. I figure if I'm going to die, I'm going to try to be as numb as I can be.
Yeah, let's fucking hit oblivion before we land this thing.
I didn't have time, man, because we were coming in. And we came in and we hit. And we just went down the runway. And we passed all that shit. And then we went right to the end of the runway and ran off the runway. But we got it stopped once we hit the mud.
Oh, dude, your heart's just got to be pounding out of your chest.
Yeah. They interviewed me whenever I came off the plane. They said, sir, can you tell us your experience on the landing? I said, yeah. I said, it was pretty tough, but it wasn't as tough as wrestling Gene Kiniski for 60 minutes.
I'm gonna guess that these interviewers had no idea you were a wrestler either, so they're probably like,
"Oh, they did." They knew who Gene Kiniski was, though.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he's a god up there at the time. And I had just left that territory to go to Japan, and I was their big star there.
Okay.
I'd been wrestling Kiniski. So for the wrestling fans, they got it.
Okay, so they probably did know you then. That's awesome.
Getting sick whenever I got off the airplane, man, I puked my guts out. There were a lot of people puking though, so it wasn't a big deal.
Got to be a combination of nerves and hammering some of those little bottles.
Yeah, I think it was the nerves. The liquor was good.
Oh my God, terrifying. Next question I do have though is this is 12 days after WrestleMania 6 in Toronto, and all of a sudden you're spinning it around and going over to Japan. I know that you had already had the neck surgery by this point, but this has got to take a toll on your body, right?
Oh, it does, man. Anytime you fly that trip, but You know, it's just the fact that you don't have time to unwind and stretch out or anything. You know, you're getting right in the ring and going after it again. You know, and nothing against Boss Man, because Boss Man took pretty good care of me, but he's a little solid at times.
Right, big athletic dude, but man, I've heard that where every once in a while you'd have to remind him like, "Hey, cool it."
Lighten it up, dude.
Steve Austin actually tells a hilarious story about, I guess, Boss Man hit him with a stiff punch, and Steve let it go, got him again, and then Boss Man came in on a clothesline, and Steve just fucking smashed him. and apparently Ray was like, "Okay," like he got it. He was like, "Yeah, okay, all right."
I understand.
Yep.
Hey, he didn't mind taking that. You know, I mean, if he hit you, he knew it.
Yeah, it's I've heard that he's a great guy. I'm excited to talk about him more. Before we get there, I do want to ask, a long flight like this with some of these WWF guys, are you reading, sleeping, playing cards? What are you doing to pass the time?
I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I did. I tried to sleep.
got to make it pass somehow.
Well, you got to make sure there's somebody around you that's awake and that will tell you if somebody needs to do something to you.
Oh, those were the days when people would like cut off your ponytail or shave an eyebrow, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did any of that ever happen to you?
Nope.
You had somebody next to you ready to smarten you up.
Yep.
And you never did any of that stuff to anybody either, right?
Next question.
Oh man, so you can hear the story at Jake's live shows.
I never did it to a wrestler.
You were doing it to a quote unquote civilian.
Yeah.
Oh my, Jake, can you tell the story, or is this a legal situation?
No, I think it's probably expired by now.
Go ahead.
I'd shave their eyebrows.
Really?
Yeah.
Man or woman?
Man. Well,
Yep.
there was one woman.
Oh, so this is not an isolated incident. This is something that's happened a couple times.
No, it was an isolated incident, and these guys were all college kids, and they kept fucking with me. And I was trying to sleep. It was like a 6-hour flight from Seattle to Miami, and they kept fucking with me. So somebody might have given them some sleeping pills.
Halcyon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, but I just waited till they all gonked out. And I went by and shaved one eyebrow off each person. You know? But then somebody got the clippers and they went a little crazy.
Shaved heads?
There was one guy that had real long hair and they shaved all of it. He was in the toilet, passed out. So when he woke up, all of his hair is in his crotch, bald. The girl, they shaved half her head and wrote dick on her forehead. So anyway, then my clippers disappeared and wound up in one of their pockets. So we got fairly close to Atlanta, and they turned the lights back on the plane, and of course it was, oh my God. And then these kids started waking up and screaming. Oh, they were furious, man. And we're like, oh my God, who did that? Oh my God. But there was one kid that didn't have anything done to him.
Oh, so he got the heat.
The one that had the clippers. Can you imagine that? That bastard. He was supposed to be one of their friends. Oh, I wanted to kill him. But anyway, they had to emergency land the plane in Atlanta because they just wouldn't shut up. They were fucking screaming. They were throwing shit. Yeah.
Dude, that is amazing. Well, look, these kids were fucking with you. You don't want to fuck with a wrestler.
I mean, there was about 8 of us on the plane, and they just kept, come on, have a drink with me. Come on, have a drink with me. Don't be pussies. Come on, you tough wrestlers. Y'all ain't shit. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck. And it just kept going and going, man.
I have to guess.
Marty Jannetty was on the plane, but I don't know what he did.
And so Jannetty was going to be one of my guesses. I was also going to say Kurt Hennig had to have been involved.
I believe so. I can't quite remember. A little fuzzy there.
Man, I don't know if we should remember. We can move on.
Yeah.
And actually, we're gonna start the video here pretty soon, and I'll just keep reading questions as we go. I'm gonna crank down the volume quite a ways because the announcers are Japanese, so we aren't gonna be able to understand a lot of it, anyways.
I understand Japanese.
How much do you understand of Japanese after spending time there?
2 or 3 things. That's about it. Cold beer. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Where's the shitter?
No. Yeah, I do know that one. Benjo.
Now, the first time that you were over there, are you getting time to sightsee, or is it just work?
Work.
Oh man,
day. No days off.
And 2 straight months when you're there the first time, and you're just working. Yeah, I hope the money was good for all that.
It was more money than I'd ever seen.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our new sponsor, Fume, and their incredible product. Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or replacing one bad habit with another. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. They look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. I got my Fume in the mail and I was blown away by the amazing flavor. With options like crisp mint, orange vanilla, maple pepper, and more, there's truly something for everyone and every preference. Also, I am definitely a fidgeter, and Fume scratches that itch as well. It's perfectly balanced, feels great in my hand, and acts as a great stress reliever. Also, it just looks cool. The design includes real wood, a sleek look, and a great shape. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. There's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code SNAKE to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack. That's tryfum.com and use code SNAKE to save an additional 10% off your order today. Okay, guys, let's hit the pause button to tell you about WrestleQuest from MegaCat Studios, which is now available. Man, we have heard the hype for this game, and let me tell you right now, it is real. Incredible reviews, legendary stars, and a wrestling gaming experience like none you have ever had before. WrestleQuest is a love letter to classic role-playing games, the pixel art games of our youth, and the golden era of professional wrestling. Powerbomb your way through a massive game where the worlds of toys, action figures, and wrestling collide. This is a sweaty, spectacular pro wrestling take on the cherished Japanese role-playing games. We're talking about 40-plus hours of core story content and 20-plus fully licensed pro wrestling legends like our man Jake the Snake, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, DDP, Jeff Jarrett, and much more. The list spans decades in various promotions featuring talent from all over the world. More than just statues, each legend has their own side quest. Players can earn the wrestler's signature gear or the right to call upon their finishing moves in combat. In some cases, the wrestler may even join the player as their manager. Cut promos on your opponents before fighting them in the ring and customize your walk-on routine, including theme music, pyrotechnics, and other effects. WrestleQuest is available now for PC, consoles, and mobile, and let me tell you guys, as a gamer, this is not a game that you're going to want to miss. This game is going to set a new standard in pro wrestling gaming, and I, for one, cannot wait to start playing it. Again, it's WrestleQuest. Download your copy right now. Ooh, man, that's a lot. I'm excited to watch this match. We can jump into it, and yeah, I'll ask a few questions as we go. And I'm excited to watch this, man. Your first time in the Tokyo Dome. Let's go ahead and tune it up.
This next contest is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit.
Bossman とはアメリカ州刑務所の看守のことを言います。ビッグボスマン、暴力看守。2メーター3センチ、170キロの巨体が。
Sorry, I had to mute it. I wasn't hearing you. What was it, Jake?
How in the fuck did they come up with the name Egg Dome?
I guess it looks like a giant egg. I think that's just like a nickname, like calling MSG the whatever they call it, the Mecca or whatever.
Oh man, they had a write-in to have it, what to name it.
Oh really?
They named it the Egg Dome, yeah.
Unbelievable. Iconic place, really iconic arena.
Yeah.
All right, we'll track your entrance.
WWF のプロレスをそのままに直輸入 WWF 同士の一戦となりました。
From Stone Mountain, Georgia, weighing 248 pounds, Jake the Snake Roberts.
お土産持参のプロレスラー、ジェイク・ザ・スネーク・ロバーツ。
I didn't notice that the first time I watched this match, but you just stepped over the top rope. Were these ropes shorter?
Not much, but I used to do that a lot.
I don't recall ever having seen you do it. So as soon as I saw that just now, I was like, wait a minute. It's
quite the sphincter rub.
I was gonna say that's really got to dig in.
Oh, it does.
Well, Jake, some other notes from this event. Hogan was originally announced to be defending the WWF title versus Terry Gordy, and Gordy supposedly was afraid to do a clean loss against someone who is not a champion. He thought maybe it might negatively affect his status in Japan and bowed out of the match. I found that to be pretty interesting because I know that you have always felt like wins and losses don't really matter as long as your character is over. But I've heard other guys from your generation talk about how losing on TV or at a huge event can hurt their character. Why do you think some guys that came up with you don't feel the same way that you do about it?
They're insecure.
They're
insecure in their own character, man.
Interesting. Because like I said, I've heard so many guys, even from WWF guys from the golden age when you were there, say like, yeah, no, I can't lose on TV. It's like, really? Why?
Oh yeah, that foolish shit.
Pretty bizarre stuff. So we see here that you're working with the Big Boss Man, and as you noted, this is the first and only time that you worked with him.
Yep.
What do you think about Ray's work overall?
Very good.
Polished, and as we've mentioned, just a really big dude who could move. Had made a great reputation for himself in JCP, but yeah, every once in a while, maybe a little stiff.
Yeah, raw boned. That's what I call it.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Corn fed.
He was too. Another Rome, Georgia boy, much like a friend of the show, Arn. And man, just a cool athlete. Another guy gone too soon. But I did want to ask, he's in this era of wrestling where the gimmicks start to reflect jobs and whatnot. And obviously he's a prison guard. Did you think that his main eventing with Hogan as a heel was about as far as he could take that character, or do you think some meat was left on the bone?
There's some meat left on the bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's WWF champion potential?
No, not with that character.
Well, certainly, I think that he could have had a longer stay in the main event as a big nasty heel.
Yeah, he could have.
Well, I mentioned that Gordy's going to bow out, but Stan Hansen is going to replace him a few days before the show and lose to Hogan in the main event. Jake, have you spent much time around Hansen?
Oh, yeah.
What can you tell us about him?
Oh, love him to death. Love him to death. Very scary.
He's another one of those guys. You say raw bone, nasty, tough as nails. Like, man, that is, my God, as tough as they come. Have you worked with him?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like being in the ring with him?
Scary. Fucking scary. I mean, you got to remember, this guy can't see.
Right.
So when he throws you off to come for that lariat, you'll see him like turning his head from side to side, trying to catch a glimpse of you.
Oh my God.
He just fucking rips it.
I've heard people say, like, sometimes that clothesline of his will hit you in the chest, sometimes in the stomach, sometimes he'll tear your head off with it.
Yep, I've been in a couple of those. I've had the head torn off and I've had the chest.
Man, just a badass dude.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that he primarily for his career, or has certainly spent much of his career in Japan. Would you have worked with him during your early days?
Yeah, it was my early days in Louisiana.
Badass dude. It'd be cool if we could uncover some of those old matches.
Oh, God, I might be scared to even watch them.
This is give you a concussion just watching him tear your head off with those.
Hey, it could happen.
We've got this from the Observer. Jake Roberts pinned Big Boss Man in 10:25 when he got behind Boss Man's vertical suplex attempt and hit the DDT. Boss Man played a total heel. That's pretty interesting because according to the research here, it was about 2 months earlier. Boss Man had turned babyface in the WWF, and now he's a heel here in Japan.
Yeah.
Why do you think you were positioned with Boss Man instead of, as I mentioned just days earlier, you had wrestled DiBiase at WrestleMania? Why not just put you two in the ring together?
I have no idea.
I'm kind of glad it happened, because again, this is it. If you want to see Jake the Snake wrestle the Big Boss Man, you're not going to find it anywhere else. This is the only time.
That's true.
Some other people on this card. It's pretty jam-packed with talent. Jushin Liger, Masa Saito, Kenta Kobashi, Tenryu, Great Kabuki, Giant Baba, many others. Did you spend much time around the Japanese talent at this time?
Not this trip.
As you mentioned, it was just kind of a quick in and out. So not a ton of time to hobnob with them. Were you sharing a locker room with the guys from the other federations?
Yeah.
Language barrier, I would imagine, has to be something of an issue when it comes to this stuff.
It certainly is.
It's it's just probably down to respectful nods a lot of the time. It's also notable that a young Shane McMahon is acting as a referee for a few matches. Did Shane ever ref a match for you?
Nope.
Did you spend much time around Shane at all?
Nope.
Never really whatsoever, even when as he was like a teenager when you were kind of on top.
Nope.
Interesting to see what he's gone on to be in pro wrestling.
Yeah, certainly is. Guy with the quad that's fucked up.
Yeah. Did you see that moment in WrestleMania?
No.
Insane. He did that leapfrog, tore his quad, and thankfully Snoop Dogg was there to kind of pick up the pieces. Kind of like an old veteran. He came in and punched the Miz and finished it himself.
That's awesome.
Pretty interesting. Snoop Dogg, have you ever been around him at all, Jake?
Yeah. We smoked a little bit.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That has got to be a wild experience.
Sure it is. Yeah, when he was at AEW, we hung out a little bit.
Oh, nice, man. Man, what a legend in rap he was. I mean, are you guys like chilling at his hotel room, or where are you at?
He had a trailer.
Oh, nice. We're looking at the Boss Man here. He's got rear chin lock. What would have been the earliest that you'd been around him? WWE or prior?
WWE.
Man, such a irreplaceable look, talented dude. Cool when he came back to the WWF in the late '90s, and they kind of updated his character to almost like a SWAT team type guy. God, just a mountain of potential in this guy.
Yep.
We've got. Oh, go ahead.
He can move, man. He can move.
We've got a little bit more from the Observer here, and he talks a lot about the difference in American fans versus Japanese fans. I'd like your take on this. He says the match was total American heel versus face style, and pointed out too clearly the cultural differences in both the wrestling and the wrestling fans from the two countries. It should be pointed out that at least 5,000 fans were Americans, mainly servicemen stationed abroad. Most were sitting at the ringside seats and apparently were comped, since one doubts servicemen could afford tickets that expensive. The belief is that they were comped to make sure that there would be an American reaction to some of the spots and wrestlers who might not get over in Japan. So I wanted to kind of sift through some of the fact and fiction of that statement. Just my personal thought, but in my mind, it feels like all the WWF guys would have been totally over at this point. As I mentioned, you guys have become part of pop culture in pro wrestling by now.
Japanese fans react differently.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Was it's been said over and over again that they're very, very quiet out of respect.
Yeah.
How does that impact you as a wrestler?
Well, you just get used to it, man. You have to go with it.
Now, will it change anything about your approach in the ring?
Nope.
Do everything the same way?
Yep, I did.
The first time that you were in Japan and you're getting this alternate crowd reaction, did you feel like you'd done something wrong, or did somebody smarten you up ahead of time?
Oh, I knew what it was going to be like.
I will say, and we're going to track near the end of this, when you hit the DDT and then pull out the snake, there's a very big reaction. And I know that Meltzer's trying to point out that it's a lot of Americans at ringside. You can see a lot of Japanese folks at ringside, and they pop. Here we go.
Oh, DDT! DDT! はい DDT の名手ジェイク・ロバーツ一発目の DDT さあそこからカウントが入る取りましたよカウント3ジェイク・ロバーツ最後は18番 DDT でこの暴力監修ビッグボスマンビンホール奪いましたさあダミアンが出てきますよさあ物言わぬセコンドこれですこれですの中でうごめく物体 X その名は2メーターを超す大蛇ダミアンでありますさあ勝ち名乗りを受けましたジェイク・ロバーツとしますとあはやはり袋に手をかけたはいはいさあ皆さんテレビの前の皆さん生理的に受け付けない方はぜひとも目をつむってみてくださいあは出ましたヘビですヘビです大蛇ですまさにヘビー級のヘビーこれ見よがしうわこれは
That was it. Nice reaction there at the end from this crowd that's traditionally pretty quiet.
Yeah, they got with it finally.
It's awesome, man. Cool to see you in that setting. It's it's weird to see WWF guys on a Japanese arena like that. Really just unique. And again, it was never done again, a collaboration between the three federations. So just such a cool, unique moment there at the Wrestling Summit in 1990. The Tokyo Dome, Jake, how did it compare to the other venues that you've been in? Some massive ones. How did it compare?
Yeah, it did. It did.
In what way? Like better?
Fan reaction. The building itself is just not as big as some of ours.
Overall, when it comes to being in Japan, don't prefer it?
Oh, God, no.
Well, selfishly, I'm glad that you went. I'm sure that a lot of our listeners and fans of yours are too, because cool to see that. Cool to see you wrestle the Boss Man. A few things that only happened once there. That combination show, and you wrestling the Boss Man. So awesome. Great to get to watch it back with you all these years later. And great to be bringing some fun bonus content to folks here at adfreeshows.com. This was our April bonus. We're going to be back next month with another one. And man, it's been a real blast getting to do this with you, Jake.
Always.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time right here on The Snake Pit.
All right.
Eric Bischoff here again, telling you about our friends over at SaveWithConrad.com. Now, Conrad's always talking about how they are helping homeowners save money, but did you know that Conrad and his team can also help you become a homeowner? They make the home buying process more enjoyable than, I don't know, making out with Stephanie and Linda. Ouch! But don't take my word for it.
Hi, I'm Sarah Davis, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. So my husband has been a huge fan of Conrad's podcast for many, many years. And for years, we were on road trips, and he would have me listen to it. And then I got really into it. And so when it came time for us to buy a house, it was kind of like, there's really no other option at this point. Like, we have to go down this path, right? It was the best. I worked with Steve. I don't know what to do. I was looking more for preparing to buy a house. How do I get this in order? What does this need to look like? What do I need to move around? What's more important that I pay off first? Because I'm a first-time home buyer. I don't know what that needs to look like. So that's when I called you guys and I talked with Steve, and phenomenal from day one. I got a full education on home buying before I was ever asked to fill out an application, before I was ever asked to do anything, which is just, I mean, I cannot brag on you guys enough. I literally cannot tell enough people about you, because we would not have a home if it weren't for you, if it weren't for that interaction and weren't for the learning process. And I feel like I went into being a first-time home buyer by the time we got through the end of the process with the same education that people need 4 or 5 homes to buy. And so now I feel like, all right, well, we can do this. We can do real estate. I can actually make good decisions and ask good questions at closing and beyond because of everything that you taught me. My name is Sarah Davis, and I got into my dream home with Save with Conrad.
And unlike the dirt sheets, we're not making this up. Check out all the 5-star reviews. Go to SaveWithConrad.com and do it today. You'll be grateful you did.
NMLS number 65084, Equal Housing Lender. Woo!